Good evening, my friends. Tonight I want to speak to you about a principle that will revolutionize how you approach wealth, abundance, and prosperity. A principle so simple, so profound, yet so completely misunderstood that most people spend their entire lives chasing money without ever becoming rich. Here it is. You must be rich before the money comes, not after. Not once you finally get the money, before. You must be rich in consciousness before you can ever be rich in manifestation. You must feel wealthy before your bank account reflects wealth. You must assume abundance before abundance assumes form. This goes against everything you've been taught. You've been told that first you work hard, then you make money, and finally only then do you get to feel rich. But that is backwards. That is the thinking of those who live in the world of effects, who believe that circumstances create consciousness, who think that having creates being. I am here to tell you being creates having, consciousness creates circumstance. What you are in your inner world must appear in your outer world. And if you are not rich in consciousness, you will never be rich in manifestation, no matter how much money passes through your hands. Let me show you something that most never understand. There is a profound difference between having money and being rich. I have known many people with substantial bank accounts who were poor. Their consciousness was poverty. Their inner conversations were lack. Their feeling about themselves was limitation. They had money, yes, but they were not rich. They were poor people who happened to temporarily possess wealth. And I have known people with empty pockets who were rich. Their consciousness was abundance. Their inner world was overflow. Their feeling about themselves was prosperity. They had no money, but they were rich. They were wealthy people who hadn't yet seen their inner riches reflected in the outer world. And here's what's crucial. The person who is rich in consciousness without money will inevitably attract money, because the outer must conform to the inner. The world must reflect consciousness. But the person who has money without wealth consciousness will inevitably lose it, because money that doesn't match your consciousness cannot stay with you. This is why lottery winners lose their fortunes. This is why people who inherit wealth often squander it. This is why those who make money through luck or chance rarely keep it. They had money, but they were not rich. And the money left because it had no consciousness to anchor it. Now, what do I mean by wealth consciousness? What does it mean to be rich before money? It does not mean pretending you have money when you don't. It does not mean acting wealthy externally while feeling poor internally. It does not mean spending money you don't have to create an illusion of prosperity. Wealth consciousness is a state of being. It is how you feel about yourself in relation to the world. It is your inner conviction about provision, about worthiness, about flow. Let me describe this consciousness to you, so you recognize it when you touch it. A person with wealth consciousness feels provided for, not because their bank account is full, but because they know deep in their being that they are always taken care of. They expect the universe to provide. They assume that whatever they need will come, not as a hope, but as a knowing. A person with wealth consciousness feels worthy. They don't question whether they deserve good things. They don't sabotage blessings with guilt. They don't diminish themselves to make others comfortable. They simply know they are worthy of abundance, and they accept it naturally. The person with wealth consciousness feels free. Money is not a prison. Lack is not a dictator. They make decisions from desire, not from desperation. They choose based on what they want, not what they can afford. Even when their current circumstances are limited, their consciousness is expansive. A person with wealth consciousness feels abundant. They notice what they have, not what they lack. They see overflow, not scarcity. They experience richness in their relationships, their experiences, their inner life, regardless of their bank balance. This is the consciousness that creates wealth, not the consciousness that waits for wealth to create it. Here's the mistake most people make. They believe they'll feel wealthy once they have money. When I have $10,000 in the bank, then I'll feel secure. When I make 6 figures, then I'll feel abundant. When I'm debt-free, then I'll feel free. But this is impossible, because feeling is what creates, not what results from creation. You cannot feel secure once you have money. You must feel secure first. And then money comes to confirm your security. You cannot feel abundant once you make more. You must feel abundant now. And then more flows to match your abundance. You cannot feel free once you're debt-free. You must feel free in consciousness, and then your circumstances will reflect that freedom. The feeling must come first, always. Without exception, this is law. Scripture tells us, believe that you have received, and you will receive. Not receive, and then you'll believe. The belief, the feeling, the consciousness must come before the manifestation. Let me show you the consciousness of poverty so you can recognize when you're dwelling in it. A poor person, and I don't mean someone without money, I mean someone with poverty consciousness, thinks about money constantly. They obsess over it. They check their balance compulsively. They calculate every expense. They worry about it day and night. Why? Because they don't have it in consciousness. They're not rich internally, so they desperately try to create richness externally. A poor person feels restricted by money. Every decision is filtered through, can I afford this? Every desire is followed by, but that costs too much. They live in a cage built by numbers in a bank account. A poor person hoards. They grip tightly to every dollar. They're afraid to spend, afraid to give, afraid to circulate. Because in their consciousness there is not enough. There will never be enough. They must hold on to what little they have. A poor person resents others' wealth. They see someone prosperous and feel diminished. They think that should be me, or they don't deserve that, or must be nice to have money. They make wealth wrong, abundance suspicious, prosperity something to envy rather than embody. A poor person believes money is hard to get. They assume you must struggle, sacrifice, suffer to earn. That wealth requires exhausting effort. That abundance comes only to the lucky few. This is poverty consciousness. And you can have this consciousness while sitting on $1 million. Because consciousness is not determined by your circumstances. Consciousness determines your circumstances. Now let me show you the consciousness of wealth. A rich person, someone who is rich in consciousness, whether or not money has manifested yet, thinks about money rarely. Not because they're irresponsible, but because they're not worried. Money is handled, dealt with, managed, but not obsessed over. It doesn't dominate their thoughts. Why? Because they have it in consciousness. They feel wealthy internally, so they don't need to constantly monitor external conditions. A rich person feels free with money. They make decisions based on desire, alignment, what feels right, not based solely on cost. Even when their current resources are limited, they think from abundance, not from lack. A rich person circulates. They give generously. They spend freely. They tip well. They share abundantly. Not recklessly, but from an inner knowing that what flows out will flow back in multiplied. They understand that circulation creates increase. A rich person celebrates others' wealth. They see someone prosperous and feel inspired. They think if they can have that, so can I. Or their abundance proves abundance is available. Or I'm happy for them. They make wealth good, abundance natural, prosperity something to assume, rather than envy. A rich person believes money is natural to receive. They don't struggle for it. They expect it. They assume it flows to them easily. They know that their consciousness of wealth attracts wealth effortlessly. This is wealth consciousness. And you can have this consciousness while your bank account is empty. Because consciousness creates reality. What you are within determines what appears without. So how do you cultivate wealth consciousness? How do you become rich before money? Not through pretending. Not through affirmations you don't believe. Not through acting wealthy when you feel poor, but through a shift in your inner world. A transformation of how you see yourself. How you relate to the world. How you move through your days. Let me give you specific practices. First, change your inner conversations about money. Most people have a continuous internal dialogue of lack. I can't afford that. I don't have enough. Money's so tight. I'm always broke. I wish I had more. Every one of these thoughts is an impression on your subconscious mind. Every one of these statements is an assumption that hardens into fact. You are creating poverty with your words, even if no one else hears them. Starting today, you must revise your inner speech. You must speak to yourself as a wealthy person speaks to themselves. Not I don't have enough, but I have everything I need and more is flowing to me. Not money's so tight, but money flows to me easily and naturally. Not I'm always broke, but I am abundantly provided for. Not I wish I had more, but I am grateful for the wealth I have and the wealth that's coming. Do you see the difference? One creates poverty, the other creates wealth. Your inner conversations are your most powerful creative tool. Use them to build wealth consciousness, not reinforce lack. Second, make decisions from abundance, not from scarcity. Every day you make countless small decisions, and each one is made from either abundance consciousness or lack consciousness. When you see something you'd like but don't buy it, because I can't afford it, you're deciding from lack. When you don't take an opportunity because what if it doesn't work out, and I lose money, you're deciding from lack. When you say no to an experience because I need to save, you're deciding from lack. I'm not telling you to be financially irresponsible. I'm telling you to check the consciousness behind your decisions. A person with wealth consciousness might choose not to buy something, but they'd think, I'm choosing to allocate my resources differently, or that doesn't align with my values, or I'm prioritizing something else right now. Not I can't afford it. That's poverty speaking. Start making decisions, even small ones, from a consciousness of abundance. Choose from desire, not from fear. Select from alignment, not from limitation. This shift in decision-making changes your entire consciousness. Third, give from your current resources. This is one of the most powerful practices for building wealth consciousness, and one of the most resisted. When you have little, your poverty consciousness says, I can't give. I barely have enough for myself. Once I have more, then I'll give. But this is backwards. Giving creates the consciousness of having. Giving affirms abundance. Giving tells your subconscious, I have more than enough. I have overflow. You don't give because you have excess. You give to create the consciousness of excess. Jesus said, give, and it shall be given unto you. Pressed down, shaken together, and running over. He didn't say receive and then you'll be able to give. The giving comes first. The giving creates the receiving. So starting today, give from whatever you have. If you have $100, give $5. If you have $20, give $2. If you have only $5, give 50 cents. The amount doesn't matter. The consciousness matters. When you give, even when it feels like you don't have enough, you're affirming to yourself and to God your own wonderful human imagination. I am abundant. I have more than enough. I am rich. And your subconscious, receiving this impression, begins to create conditions that match it. Fourth, notice what you already have. Poverty consciousness focuses on lack. Wealth consciousness focuses on abundance. Right now, look around your life. You have abundance everywhere, but you're not seeing it because you're trained to see lack. You have a place to live. You have food. You have clothing. You have relationships. You have abilities. You have opportunities. You have thoughts, imagination, consciousness itself. You have wealth that billions of people throughout history never possessed. Yet you feel poor because you're comparing yourself to those who have more, rather than appreciating what you actually possess. Gratitude for what you have creates the consciousness of abundance. And the consciousness of abundance attracts more to be abundant about. Start each day by really noticing what you already have. Not as a technique to get more, but as a genuine recognition of the wealth already present in your life. This shifts your consciousness from lack to abundance. And abundance consciousness creates abundant manifestations. Fifth, feel wealthy in your body. Consciousness is not just mental, it's felt in the body. A person with poverty consciousness walks hunched, hurried, tense. They carry stress in their shoulders. They move through the world as if they're late, behind, not enough. A person with wealth consciousness moves differently. They stand tall. They walk with ease. They're unhurried, unrushed, present. Their body language communicates, I have time, I have space, I have enough. Starting today, notice how you carry yourself. Are you moving like someone who's poor or someone who's rich? Walk like you're wealthy. Sit like you're abundant. Breathe like you're provided for. Not as pretending, but as claiming the consciousness of wealth in your very cells. Your body follows your consciousness, yes, but your consciousness can also follow your body. When you move like someone rich, you begin to feel rich. And when you feel rich, you become rich. Let me tell you what happens when you truly make this shift. When you stop waiting for money to make you feel wealthy, and instead choose to feel wealthy now, everything changes. You stop being desperate. Desperation repels money. Wealthy consciousness attracts it. You stop making fear-based decisions. You start making aligned decisions, and aligned decisions create wealth. You stop resenting others' success. You start celebrating it as proof that abundance is available. And what you celebrate, you attract. You stop gripping money tightly. You start letting it flow. And flow creates increase. You stop feeling like a victim of circumstances. You start knowing you're the creator of circumstances. And creators create wealth. The shift from I'll be rich when I have money to I'm rich now, and money is on its way, is the shift that changes your entire financial reality. Not eventually. Not someday. Now in consciousness. And then inevitably in manifestation. Tonight before you sleep, you're going to assume wealth consciousness for the first time, regardless of your current financial situation. Close your eyes. Forget your bank balance. Forget your debt. Forget your bills. Forget everything your senses are telling you about lack, and feel wealthy. Not I'm going to be wealthy. Not I want to be wealthy. Not I'm becoming wealthy. But I am wealthy. Right now, in this moment, in consciousness. Feel what it's like to be a person who is abundantly provided for. A person who expects good things. A person who trusts completely. A person who feels worthy of wealth. A person who knows without question that they are rich. Not the things wealth would buy. Not the experiences wealth would provide. But the state of being wealthy. The consciousness of wealth. The identity of richness. Dwell there. Rest there. Fall asleep there. Impress this consciousness on your subconscious as you drift into sleep. Let the last thought you think be, I am rich. I am abundant. I am provided for. And tomorrow, wake up as that person. Don't check your bank account to see if you're rich. You already know you're rich in consciousness. And that's the only place wealth ever begins. Move through tomorrow from wealth consciousness. Speak from abundance. Decide from prosperity. Give from overflow. Notice from richness. Be rich before money. And watch how quickly money comes to confirm what you already are in consciousness. If you commit to this practice, if you truly cultivate wealth consciousness regardless of your circumstances, if you become rich in your inner world, before you see riches in your outer world, you will become wealthy. Not because you worked harder, not because you got lucky, not because circumstances changed, but because you changed in consciousness. And changed consciousness creates changed conditions. You cannot be rich in consciousness and remain poor in manifestation. It's impossible. Because the outer must reflect the inner. The world must conform to consciousness. So stop waiting for money to make you feel rich. Start feeling rich, and watch money rush to confirm what you already are. You are not poor. You've just been dwelling in poverty consciousness. You are rich. You've always been rich. You just need to claim it in consciousness before it can manifest in form. Be rich before money, and money will have no choice but to follow. Thank you, and good evening. This is Best of Lectures. I will see you in the next video. There is a silent current moving through your life, unseen, yet undeniably real. Everything around you, every circumstance, every person, every challenge is quietly shifting in your favor. You may not see it yet, but the tide is turning, and it is moving toward your victory. The first truth to understand is that your reality begins in your imagination. Whatever you hold in your mind with conviction and feeling begins to shape the world around you. When you assume the feeling of your desire fulfilled, your life bends to reflect that inner certainty. Do not underestimate the power of your mind. It is not merely a tool, it is the forge of your reality. Even when the external world seems stagnant, know this: the invisible shift is already happening. Forces beyond your perception are arranging events and people to bring about what you desire. The universe does not work with hesitation. It moves quietly, methodically, always toward the realization of what your heart has imagined. Trust the process, even when you cannot yet see it. But belief alone is not enough. You must persist in the feeling of your fulfilled desire. Do not let doubts creep in. Do not allow impatience to cloud your vision. Every moment you maintain the inner certainty, you are creating an irresistible momentum that life must reflect. Persistence is the key. The world cannot deny the conviction of a determined heart. Release all resistance. The moment you let go of fear, worry, and frustration, the flow of life moves unhindered toward you. Struggle is unnecessary. It only delays what is already destined for you. Surrender to the natural unfolding and allow miracles to happen with ease. Imagination is your creative power. Live in the end of your desire. See it, feel it, embrace it, as though it is already yours. By immersing yourself in this inner reality, you invite the physical world to follow. Every reality begins as a mental picture. Every success begins as an imagined certainty. Trust the timing of life. What seems delayed is not denial, it is preparation. Everything is being orchestrated with perfect precision to bring your desires in the most favorable way. There is divine timing at work, and it always works in your favor. So hold fast. Do not give up. Every unseen shift, every hidden movement, every quiet alignment is leading you toward your breakthrough. Everything is shifting in your favor. Trust it, believe it, feel it, and watch the impossible become inevitable. Your reality begins not in the world around you, but in the silent creative depths of your imagination. Everything you see, experience, and encounter in your life is a reflection of the beliefs you hold within. The moment you realize that your outer world is a mirror of your inner state, you step into a place of power. For the world does not create you. You create the world by the assumptions you persist in. This is the secret that many overlook. Life does not respond to your complaints, your fears, or even your wishes without feeling. It responds to the living, vibrant conviction that you hold in your mind and heart. When you assume the feeling of your desire fulfilled, when you live as though what you seek has already been accomplished, life itself begins to rearrange. People, circumstances, and opportunities align in ways that seem miraculous, yet they are the natural consequence of your inner state. It is not enough to merely hope or wish for change. Hope is weak, fleeting, and uncertain, and the outer world senses this uncertainty. Your imagination, however, is powerful and tangible. By imagining vividly, by entering the state where your desire is already realized, you send a signal to the universe that your fulfillment is inevitable. It is not a distant possibility, it is a present reality, experienced first in the inner world before manifesting in the physical. When you carry this assumption consistently, it impresses itself upon your consciousness so deeply that your actions, decisions, and reactions begin to align with that reality. You start to notice opportunities that were invisible before. You begin to meet people who serve as instruments of your vision. Life unfolds in a way that confirms your inner assumption. Your imagination is the divine tool through which you mold your reality. To exercise this power, you must enter the end state of your desire. Feel it in your body, in your heart, and in your mind. See yourself living the life you want, not someday, but now. Sense the emotions of fulfillment, gratitude, and joy as if they are already yours. This feeling is the signal that transforms mere thought into creation. The universe moves to match the frequency of your inner state. Resistance, doubt, and negativity will try to interrupt this process, but persistence and faith are your allies. The more you dwell in the assumption of your fulfilled desire, the stronger and more undeniable the impression becomes. Understand that the outer world is never separate from you. Every event, every encounter, every circumstance is a reflection of what you carry inside. If your imagination is strong, clear, and unwavering, the world will reflect that strength back to you. If your inner state is uncertain or fearful, life will mirror that uncertainty. This is the essence of creation. You do not chase reality, you embody it. By assuming the feeling of your desire fulfilled, you take the first step in reshaping everything around you. Life reorganizes itself in response, and what once seemed impossible becomes not only possible, but inevitable. Even when everything around you appears still, when life seems to stall and circumstances seem unmoving, an invisible current is flowing beneath the surface, quietly rearranging reality in your favor. Most people judge the world by what they see with their eyes, forgetting that the visible world is always preceded by the invisible. What appears as delay or stagnation is not failure. It is the hidden preparation for your desire to manifest. The universe is always working, always moving, always aligning events, opportunities, and people, even when you cannot yet perceive it. This unseen shift is subtle, delicate, and profound, and it is entirely in your favor. The moment you understand that the physical world is a reflection of the invisible, you will no longer be shaken by what seems like inaction. The unseen forces are already at work. They move in perfect harmony with your inner assumption, rearranging circumstances in ways that often appear miraculous. These forces do not operate randomly. They respond to the frequency of your consciousness. Every belief, every feeling, every thought you hold is a vibration that communicates to the universe what reality you wish to inhabit. When you persist in the assumption of your desire fulfilled, unseen arrangements begin to take shape. Doors open before you, connections are made, and opportunities present themselves naturally. You may not see the mechanism, and you may not feel the shift immediately, but it is happening. Trust in the quiet, because what is invisible is always more powerful than what is visible. It is essential to understand that the shift always precedes the manifestation. Life does not simply hand you your desires in a moment of need. It first aligns the circumstances, the people, and the events to make that desire inevitable. Just as a seed must first develop roots beneath the soil before it sprouts into the sunlight, your dream must first take form in the invisible realm before it appears in the world of matter. To panic, to doubt, or to rush the process is to resist the very natural order that is working for you. Patience is not passivity, It is trust in the creative law that governs reality. The more you can internalize this truth, the less power the outer world has to disturb your inner peace. Circumstances are never final. They are temporary indicators that the unseen is still aligning. Even when setbacks appear, they are often part of a larger orchestration, positioning you for the most favorable outcome. You are not witnessing delay, you are witnessing preparation. Your task is not to force results, but to remain steadfast in the inner vision, to continue assuming the state of fulfillment, and to carry the feeling of the end as your present reality. Know that this invisible shift is relentless, precise, and inevitable. Your desire is already on its way to you. The universe is not late. It is perfectly timed. The unseen forces are constantly at work, molding the circumstances so that when the manifestation appears, it does so effortlessly and completely. Your only requirement is to trust, to persist, and to hold unwavering faith in the unseen process. What is invisible now will soon be visible, and everything that is shifting in your favor will emerge as proof of the power of belief, patience, and alignment with the creative law. The power of your desire is not measured by how loudly you declare it or by the force with which you wish for it. It is measured by the persistence of the feeling you carry within. It is easy to become distracted by appearances, by circumstances that seem to contradict your dreams, or by voices, both external and internal, that whisper doubt. Yet true manifestation does not depend on the external world. It depends entirely on your inner state. The moment you persist in the feeling of your desire fulfilled, living as though it is already yours, you set into motion an inevitability that the outer world cannot resist. This is the secret that transforms dreams into reality. The continuity of feeling, the unwavering assumption that your desire exists now. To persist in feeling means to occupy your inner world with the end result, without hesitation, without interruption, and without compromise. Do not allow fleeting doubts or momentary disappointments to break the continuity of your assumption. Life will constantly challenge you. It will present obstacles, delays, and contradictions. These are not signs that your desire is failing. They are tests of your persistence. Every time you return to the feeling of your fulfilled desire, every time you re-enter the state of its already having been accomplished, you reinforce the vibration that must eventually be reflected in your external world. Continuity is the bridge between imagination and reality, between thought and matter. And matter, the outer world cannot reflect what your inner state does not first hold. People, circumstances, and events are drawn to the frequency you maintain. When your inner state is consistent, when your feeling of fulfillment is steady and unwavering, life aligns to mirror it. The more you persist in feeling, the more inevitable your manifestation becomes. Even when the world appears contrary, persistence creates a gravitational pull that cannot be denied. What seems like opposition is merely the outer world waiting to catch up with the state of consciousness you have assumed. Persistence is also an act of faith. It is faith not in what you see, but in what you imagine. It is the belief that what you have assumed as true in your inner world will inevitably appear in your outer world. This faith is not passive. It is active, vibrant, and alive. Every thought, every feeling, every moment spent in the inner reality of fulfillment strengthens the invisible threads that bind your desire to its manifestation. Impatience, worry, or distraction weakens these threads, while steadfast feeling reinforces them until the external world must conform. Understand that persistence is not measured in days or months, it is measured in consistency of state. It is the unbroken commitment to live in the end, to feel the reality of your desire now, to ignore appearances, and to hold unwavering conviction. When you persist, life cannot help but yield. The outer world has no choice but to reflect the state you have assumed. Your desire moves from imagination to inevitability, from thought to experience, from invisible assumption to visible manifestation. Continuity of feeling is the law through which the impossible becomes inevitable, and the dreams you hold most dear become your living reality. Resistance is the invisible barrier that prevents your desires from manifesting. It is the tension created by doubt, fear, and impatience, the inner struggle against the natural flow of life. When you wrestle with circumstances, when you fight against what seems to be, you only strengthen the very obstacle you wish to overcome. The universe responds not to struggle, but to the state of mind you maintain. Every moment you resist, every thought of worry or fear acts like a block, slowing the movement of your desire from imagination into reality. It is not the world that delays your fulfillment. It is your resistance that interrupts the seamless flow of life that is already working in your favor. To release resistance is to surrender, to trust, and to allow the natural unfolding of events to carry you toward your desire. Surrender does not mean inaction or passivity, it means alignment. It means maintaining your inner assumption of the fulfilled desire while letting go of struggle. When you no longer oppose the present moment, when you cease to fret over how or when your desire will manifest, you create space for the invisible currents of life to bring your vision into form. This is the paradox of creation. By releasing struggle, you gain control. By surrendering, you command the manifestation of your desire. Fear is one of the most common forms of resistance. It whispers that what you want is impossible, that you are not worthy, or that circumstances are against you. Doubt, likewise, undermines your inner conviction, tempting you to look to the outer world for proof. Impatience rushes you to act before the invisible forces are fully aligned. All of these are signs that you are operating from a place of resistance rather than trust. The solution is simple but profound. Return continually to the inner state of peace, assurance, and certainty. Let the feeling of your desire fulfilled dominate your consciousness. Live as if the end has already come, and allow life to orchestrate the details. Understand that the universe is always working, always arranging, always moving to fulfill your desire. The unseen is precise, and the natural order is perfect. When you resist, you clash with this order. When you surrender, you align with it. This alignment is effortless. It requires no struggle, no frantic effort, no desperate attempts to control outcomes. All that is required is faith, patience, and the willingness to allow life to bring your desire in its own perfect way. Every delay, every obstacle, every unexpected turn is simply life preparing the optimal conditions for your fulfillment. Only a state of unconditional fulfillment. By releasing resistance, you move from tension to flow, from fear to faith, from struggle to effortless creation. You free yourself to inhabit the reality you have imagined. You understand that the outer world cannot resist the conviction of your inner state. As you surrender, the doors that seemed closed begin to open. The pathways that seemed blocked clear, and the invisible forces align with precision, bringing your desire into manifestation. Everything is already shifting in your favor, and resistance is the only thing that could prevent you from seeing it. Let go, trust the process, and know that life is unfolding exactly as it should, carrying you to the reality your heart has imagined. Every new reality begins in the mind. The world you see around you is not the starting point. It is the reflection of what has already been conceived in consciousness. Imagination is not a mere tool for idle dreaming. It is the creative force, the divine instrument through which life itself is shaped. Whatever you wish to experience, whatever success, joy, or fulfillment you desire, first exists as a mental picture within you. Before a tree grows, before a building is constructed, before any achievement is realized, it begins as a vision, a clear inner representation that precedes all physical manifestation. To ignore the power of imagination is to ignore the very mechanism through which life responds to consciousness. To wield this creative force effectively, you must live in the end. This means inhabiting the state of your desire fulfilled, imagining the result with vivid detail, and most importantly, with deep emotion. Feel the joy, the satisfaction, the relief, the excitement, the gratitude of having what you seek. Emotions are the bridge between imagination and reality. They give life to the mental picture and impress it upon the fabric of existence. The universe does not distinguish between imagination and reality. It responds to the feeling and conviction behind the inner picture. The more real it feels to you, the sooner it becomes inevitable in the physical world. Living in the end is not simply visualizing the outcome. It is embodying it. See yourself walking through the day as if your desire has already been fulfilled. Hear the sounds. Notice the surroundings. Feel the sensations of your new reality. The mind and body must align with the imagined state. This alignment signals to life that your fulfillment is not hypothetical but actual. The more consistently you enter this state, the more the outer world is compelled to mirror it. You are as the sea is calm and mostly clear. You are as the sea is calm and mostly clear. Opportunities, people, and circumstances begin to appear in perfect harmony with the inner reality you hold. What once seemed distant or impossible now becomes natural and inevitable. The creative force of imagination is also timeless. Past failures, current circumstances, or apparent impossibilities have no power over it. When you imagine with conviction, the mental picture exists beyond the constraints of time, calling the future into existence before it appears physically. This is the essence of manifestation. The future is already here in consciousness, and your imagination simply allows it to take form in the material world. By repeatedly dwelling in the end, by reinforcing the mental picture with faith and feeling, you set in motion an invisible current that life must honor. Do not underestimate the simplicity and power of this process. The secret of all creation is imagination. Whatever you vividly assume and persist in feeling as real, life is compelled to bring into existence. Every great achievement, every success story, every transformation in history began with this invisible act of mental creation. By embracing your imagination as the creative force, by living in the end, and by infusing your vision with deep emotion, you become the architect of your own reality. The life you desire is not waiting for permission, it is waiting for your inner assumption to claim it as already yours. Faith in divine timing is the understanding that the universe operates with perfect precision. Even when life appears to move slowly or obstacles seem to delay your desires. What seems like a pause, a setback, or a disappointment is never truly a denial of your wish. It is the meticulous preparation of circumstances, people, and opportunities to ensure that your manifestation arrives in the most favorable way. Life is orchestrated with an intelligence far beyond what the conscious mind can perceive. Every moment, every event, and every interaction is part of a grand design, aligning invisibly to bring your desire to fruition. To have faith in divine timing is to trust that nothing is wasted, nothing is random, and nothing is absent from the unfolding of your life. Delays are often misunderstood as failure, but they are in reality the proof of the universe's perfect planning. If you push too hard, act prematurely, or try to force results, you may disrupt the natural order that is working in your favor. The outer world cannot create what the inner world has not yet fully prepared. And the timing of life ensures that everything falls into place with maximum impact. Faith in divine timing is the recognition that what you desire is already yours in the unseen realm, and that the universe is simply aligning the perfect circumstances to bring it into your physical experience. Patience, therefore, is not passive waiting. It is active trust in the creative law that governs reality. To cultivate this faith, you must let go of anxiety and impatience. Doubts arise when you focus on appearances rather than the invisible truth that your desire exists in the inner world and that the external world will inevitably reflect it. Every moment that seems empty or delayed is a moment in which unseen forces are meticulously arranging everything for your good. This faith transforms waiting from a period of frustration into a period of empowerment. You are no longer at the mercy of circumstances. You are in harmony with the intelligent flow of life. You understand that every delay, every twist, every unexpected turn is perfectly timed to maximize the impact of your fulfillment. Now, if that Mishka stampa saki, you are ready. Now, if that Mishka stands over you, cast a stone. Faith in divine timing also teaches you to remain steadfast in your inner state, regardless of external appearances. Life cannot contradict what has already been assumed in consciousness. Your inner certainty, your assumption that your desire is already fulfilled, is the signal that guides the unseen forces of the universe. The outer world may lag, but it is only catching up with the state you have already established within. The more unwavering your faith, the swifter and smoother the manifestation. This is why patience and persistence are inseparable from the principle of divine timing. Understanding divine timing allows you to move through life with confidence, grace, and peace. You no longer rush, struggle, or despair, because you know that every moment is working for you, arranging the circumstances in the exact way necessary to bring your desire to life. When you trust this timing, you align yourself with the invisible current of creation. You recognize that your desire is already fulfilled in the unseen, and all that remains is for the outer world to reflect it. Faith in divine timing transforms waiting into assurance, doubt into trust, and desire into inevitable reality, ensuring that everything unfolds perfectly in your favor. As we reflect on the truths we have explored today, remember this: everything is already shifting in your favor. Your inner belief shapes the world around you. The unseen forces are quietly rearranging circumstances, and persistence in feeling ensures that what you desire becomes inevitable. By releasing resistance, trusting the process, living in the end through your imagination, and having faith in divine timing, you align yourself with the effortless flow of life. The universe is conspiring on your behalf, orchestrating every detail to bring your dreams into manifestation. Your role is not to struggle or doubt, but to assume, to feel, and to trust, knowing that the reality you envision is already yours. So, do not give up. Stand firm in your vision, persist in your belief, and embrace the invisible currents working tirelessly for your good. Every moment, every event, every encounter is a step closer to the life you have imagined. The shift is happening, the alignment is taking place, and your fulfillment is inevitable. Thank you for opening your heart and mind today, for allowing these words to inspire belief and courage within you. May you move forward with unwavering faith, persistent feeling, and the certainty that life is working for you in ways beyond your imagination. Thank you. You are not separate from your desires. They are already yours. The only separation is in your thinking, your doubting, your waiting. The moment you act as if the miracle is already yours, you collapse the distance between the wish and the world. Do not wait for a sign. Become the sign. Walk like someone whose prayers are already answered. Speak with the calm confidence of one who has received. Think like someone who has no reason to worry. You are not hoping for miracles. You are made of the same substance that creates them. If you want love, become the one who is already cherished. If you want abundance, embody the energy of ease, generosity, and security. If you want healing, live in the state of the healed, not the hurting. The secret is simple. You do not attract miracles, you match them. You do not chase them, you become them. You do not ask repeatedly, you receive internally and let the world adjust. The greatest power you will ever wield is this: your ability to assume a reality so completely that life has no choice but to conform to your inner conviction. So today, walk as the miracle, dress as the miracle, speak as the miracle, think as the miracle, because once you decide you are a magnet to miracles, they cannot help but find you. Imagination is not a mere daydream or fleeting thought. It is the very fabric of creation, the silent sculptor of reality. When you close your eyes and dare to see yourself beyond what is now, you are not escaping, you are planting the seeds of transformation. Everything you experienced externally was once first imagined internally, whether consciously or unconsciously, and this is the truth most people miss. Your imagination is the magnetism of the soul. It draws into your life not what you want desperately, but what you consistently imagine to be true. The world around you responds not to the physical effort alone, but to the image you habitually carry within. A man can toil day and night, but if in the quiet of his own mind he still sees himself as a failure, as unworthy or unlucky, then his results will mirror that in a picture. The law is precise. What you assume to be true, you live out. Life does not respond to wishful thinking. It responds to the state you occupy within yourself. Imagination is the bridge between where you are and where you long to be. It is your permission slip to enter a new reality before the facts rearrange. You see, the soul does not live in linear time, it dwells in eternity. So when you imagine something with feeling, with vivid detail, and remain faithful to that image, the soul sends out its quiet vibration into the unseen. The outer world is clay, but the imagination is the potter. It molds circumstances, shifts events, and reconfigures situations according to the belief you hold inside. That belief is not what you say once in a while. It is what you see again and again when no one is watching. The image you hold when your head touches the pillow, the tone of voice in your self-talk, the quiet assumptions that run your inner dialogue, those are the commands you give to life. And here's the miracle. You can change the image at any moment. You can withdraw from the habitual picture of struggle or lack and choose to dwell in the reality of peace, abundance, or love. But you must do it with conviction. Half-hearted imagining produces scattered results. But when you dwell so deeply in a new image that it begins to feel like home, then it becomes your truth and the world begins to conform. You don't need to figure out how it will happen. That's not your role. Your work is the inner vision, the consistency of returning to the new image even when out of fact scream otherwise. Because the world is slow to catch up to the imaginal act. But it must catch up. It cannot resist the one who is magnetized by their own belief. So if you want to shift your life, do not start with action. Start with vision. Rehearse your miracle until it becomes familiar. Speak from the place where it has already occurred. Walk in the world as one who has already received. Let the image be so alive within you that you no longer look for proof, because you are the proof. But to imagine something is not enough. You must feel it real. You must let your entire being respond as though what you desire has already come to pass. That is the secret most overlook. You are not waiting for a miracle to feel grateful, joyful, or free. You are required to feel those things first. That is how the miracle knows where to go. Feeling is the bridge between thought and reality. It is not just decoration to your imagination, it is the power that activates it. When you imagine yourself healed but continue to feel broken, you cancel the power of the vision. But when you feel within you the emotional certainty of wholeness, even before any evidence appears, you call that state into your world. Feeling is what convinces the subconscious that the desire is real, and once the subconscious accepts it, the world begins to rearrange. You must understand emotion is not weakness. It is the most powerful instrument of manifestation. Thought without feeling is hollow, but thought clothed in emotion becomes magnetic. It draws experiences, people, and opportunities into your path in ways the logical mind cannot predict. The universe does not hear your words, it feels your state. When you live from the feeling of already having, you are no longer asking, you are receiving. This is why you must not wait for outer facts to give you permission to feel joy. You must feel it now before any change, before any proof. And when you do, something begins to shift. You move from hoping to knowing, from wishing to expecting, from someday to now. The outer world may still look the same, but inside you have stepped into a new state. And because the inner and outer must eventually align, the world will follow. Feeling it real is not pretending, it is not faking anything. It is entering into the state where your desired reality is already true and allowing your body, your breath, and your energy to respond to it. This is how you collapse time. This is how you live in the future before it arrives. And by doing so, you draw it closer. You become the one who already has, the one who already is. Let yourself feel it, not just once, but over and over until it becomes natural. Close your eyes and breathe as the version of you who already holds the miracle. How does it feel to be free, to be in love, to be abundant, to be chosen, supported, healed, and seen? Let that feeling flood your being. Let it be so real that you no longer wonder if it's coming. You know it has already arrived in the unseen. Let that feeling become your new home. And once you move into that emotional space, the world cannot help but bring you evidence of it. Most people spend their lives trying to attract what they want, chasing dreams, praying for miracles, working tirelessly, hoping that something from the outside will arrive and change their circumstances. But this is a misunderstanding of how creation works. You do not attract what you want, you become it. You become the version of yourself who already has it. And from that state of being, the world begins to mirror your inner transformation. You do not pull miracles to you as if they are separate, they are not distant, they are not outside. The moment you stop trying to reach for them and instead embody the state in which they are natural, they appear as if they had been waiting for your recognition all along. You see, miracles are not events, they are reflections. Reflections of the inner state you occupy consistently. If you believe you are blessed, supported, worthy, and whole, you will walk in a world that confirms that belief. It is not about wanting. Wanting is a state of lack. To want something implies you do not yet have it, but to become means you accept the reality now, before it manifests in the physical, and that is the key. When you become the version of yourself who lives among miracles, who expects the extraordinary, who walks with calm certainty, life responds. You don't need to strive, you don't need to beg, you only need to shift who you are being. This requires inner honesty. What do you really believe about yourself, about what is possible? If deep within you believe life is hard, or you are unlucky, or you are not enough, then you will see that played out again and again. Not because it's true, but because you have become that story. The world is not judging you, it is simply echoing you. You cannot trick life with positive words if they are not backed by your inner identity. You must become the one who is already blessed. When you shift your identity, everything else follows. Think of it like changing clothes. You don't become wealthy by chasing money, you become wealthy by embodying the mindset, the energy, the behaviors of one who lives in abundance. You don't become loved by searching for someone to fill the void. You become loved by loving yourself so deeply that you radiate the energy of being cherished. You do not become healed by fighting illness. You become healed by stepping into the wholeness that already exists within you. Becoming is not pretending, it is aligning, it is stepping into the truth that already lives within you, beyond fear and past memories. Every day you are becoming something, with every thought, with every feeling, with every word. The question is, are you becoming the version of yourself who lives in miracles, or the one who doubts them? You must live from the end, not towards it. If you were already the person who had everything you desire, how would you speak? How would you carry yourself? What choices would you make? Begin there, because the more you embody that version, the less you have to wait. Most people are trained to expect struggle, to believe that good things take forever, that blessings are rare, that miracles are only for the chosen few. They may hope for more, but their core assumption is lack, delay, or difficulty. And so that is what they experience. But the moment you assume that goodness is your natural state, that life wants to bless you, that joy belongs to you, everything begins to rearrange. This is not about false confidence or forced positivity. It is about a quiet knowing, a state where you no longer question if you are worthy, you simply know you are, where you no longer wonder if things will work out. You assume they already are. You don't beg for the miracle. You dwell in the energy of miracles, and from that state life softens. Resistance fades, doors open, not because you chase them, but because you align with them. To assume the miracle is your natural state is to no longer be surprised by goodness. It is to expect alignment. It is to know that solutions come, help arrives, answers unfold, not because you force them, but because you are one with them. You have become someone for whom good things happen. This is a radical departure from the world's conditioning. You are taught to prepare for the worst, to lower expectations, to not get your hopes up. But all that does is cement a reality where miracles feel foreign. When you assume life is hard, life proves you right. When you assume blessings are rare, you hardly notice them. But shift the assumption and everything changes. Begin each day with the quiet belief that things are working in your favor, that unseen forces are conspiring to bless you, that even delays have divine timing, that what is for you cannot miss you, not because you wish it, but because it is your normal. Let peace replace panic. Let calm expectation replace anxious striving. Assume the miracle is here, not on the way. Assume you are favored, not forgotten. Assume you are guided, not alone. The world outside may still echo your old assumptions for a while, But hold the new one with faith, and the new belief will override the old pattern. You will see it in small things first, a coincidence, a compliment, a sense of ease. Then larger shifts, unexpected opportunities, surprising favor, and suddenly what you assumed becomes what you experience. You don't need proof to assume, you need courage. The courage to believe in something before it appears, to walk in faith, to carry the energy of already being blessed. Because when you carry that energy, the world mirrors it. Life becomes a reflection of the inner conviction that good things are not an exception, they are your essence. Stop asking if the miracle will happen, assume it has. Let your tone, your posture, your thoughts reflect that truth. Move from it, rest in it. Because assumption, when felt deeply, becomes your identity, and your identity shapes your world. The moment you assume it's normal for good things to happen to you, they begin to, because life always follows the lead of your belief. Something invisible is happening right now, a sacred movement beneath the surface of your life, quiet, yet unstoppable. The shift has begun. The very energy of the universe is turning in your favor. The tides that once resisted you are now carrying you toward everything you once dreamed of. What you've prayed for, imagined, and longed to see is already in motion. You may not see all the signs yet, but they are forming behind the veil. Life doesn't announce its blessings before they arrive. It rearranges itself in silence. Every delay that frustrated you was never a denial, it was preparation. Every closed door was a divine detour leading you to the one that opens easily. Every moment you stayed faithful when nothing moved, that was when the heavens took note. The universe mirrors your conviction, not your circumstances. The moment you shifted within, the moment you stopped doubting and started knowing, creation began responding. You became aligned with what was already yours. Your belief became the command that moved mountains. The invisible hand of destiny started setting things in order, guiding the right people, the right opportunities, and the right timing into your path. This is not the same season you were in before. The energy has changed. You've entered a divine rhythm where resistance turns into flow. Life no longer feels like a battle because you've stopped wrestling with appearances. You've learned that to win in life, you must first win in imagination. To receive, you must first rest in the knowing that it's already done. Every apparent setback is now a setup for elevation. Every unanswered prayer is about to be fulfilled in a higher form. Every delay was heaven's way of saying, not yet, because I'm preparing something better. The shift is not coming, it has already begun. You are walking through doors you once knocked on in vain. You are meeting people who carry keys to your next level. You are stepping into moments that feel like destiny because they are. From this point on, carry yourself as one who has already received. Speak as if it's finished. Move as if the way is made. Feel as if you are already there, because in truth you are. The outer world is simply catching up to your inner decision. Everything is working in your favor now. The unseen has said yes. The energy has turned. The promise is alive. And as you rest in this awareness, watch how effortlessly life unfolds. The struggle ends where certainty begins. This is your moment. The shift has begun, and it's all working for you, not against you. The universe has conspired. The path is open, and your time has come. Walk in it with quiet confidence. knowing that the unseen power that called you to rise is the same power ensuring that you do. The unseen shift has already begun. Your outer world is aligning with your inner belief. What you once could only imagine in silence is now beginning to take form in the physical. It may not yet be visible to your eyes, but the vibration of your life has changed. The unseen world responds not to effort, but to alignment. The moment your inner conviction shifted from doubt to faith, from hoping to knowing, something profound began to move in your favor. Reality itself started rearranging to reflect your inner state. Everything around you is a mirror. The people you meet, the circumstances you face, the opportunities that arise, all of it echoes the frequency of what you hold within. When you were uncertain, life mirrored uncertainty. When you felt undeserving, you met closed doors. But when your inner vision became clear, when you finally decided that what you desire is already yours, the mirror began to reflect a different image. The outer world had no choice but to comply. This is the law of creation. The world you see is a shadow of the world you hold in consciousness. You cannot change the shadow by touching it. You must change the light that casts it. When you shift inwardly, life must follow. There is no delay in the unseen realm. There is only the time it takes for the visible world to catch up with what has already been decreed within you. You might still be walking through familiar surroundings, but notice how everything feels different. The same streets carry a new vibration. The same conversations begin to open unexpected doors. The same opportunities that once slipped away now seem to reach for you. This is not coincidence, it is correspondence. Life is responding to the new you, the one who believes without hesitation, the one who knows that all things are already working together for good. Do not be fooled by appearances. The physical world is the slowest to change, but change it must. It cannot resist the power of your inner transformation. Every time you hold the feeling of your fulfilled desire, you are imprinting a new pattern onto reality. The energy around you begins to shape itself into form, piece by piece, moment by moment, until what you once imagined becomes undeniable fact. Remain still and certain. You do not need to chase, force, or struggle. The shift has already begun. Your faith has done the work, and the universe is now in motion to deliver what you have already accepted as truth. Every obstacle is dissolving. Every delay is turning into divine timing. All things are converging in perfect order to match your inner belief. Trust the unseen process. Feel it as done, and it will be done. For the outer world is but the echo of your inner song. And now that you are singing a new melody, one of faith, power, and certainty, life itself is dancing to your rhythm. What once felt delayed was divine preparation for your greater unfolding. Every moment you thought was wasted was actually sacred time. Time the universe used to shape you, refine you, and align you with what you were truly meant to receive. The waiting was never punishment. It was positioning. The path wasn't denied to you. It was being prepared for you, and you were being prepared for it. When you asked for growth, you didn't realize that growth often hides inside silence. When you asked for strength, you didn't know it would come through endurance. When you prayed for elevation, you didn't expect it to require surrender. Yet, everything that seemed to slow you down was in fact pulling you into alignment with a higher version of yourself, the one capable of holding the blessing you asked for. You see, destiny cannot deliver what you are not yet ready to carry. The delay was divine timing disguised as disappointment. You were never behind schedule. You were being synchronized with purpose. Every seeming setback was a sacred setup. The unanswered prayers, the closed doors, the detours that confused you. They were all recalibrations from the unseen, leading you to the precise place where your desire and your readiness could meet in perfect harmony. Had things come earlier, you might have doubted your worth or mishandled the opportunity. You might have settled too soon or moved from fear instead of faith. But because of the delay, you learn to trust without proof. You learn to walk by inner conviction rather than outer evidence. You develop the stillness that anchors miracles and the faith that commands them. That waiting season taught you who you are, not someone desperate for change, but someone powerful enough to create it. The divine works differently than the world. It builds you before it blesses you. It refines your vision before revealing the outcome. It clears away what doesn't belong so you can fully receive what does. That's why the delay was never random. It was sacred order. The universe was clearing your path, shifting the pieces, and aligning the timing so that when your breakthrough arrived, it would stay. Now you can look back and see it, the wisdom in the waiting. Every closed door was protection. Every redirection was guidance. Every pause was preparation for the leap that's coming next. The foundation beneath your life has been quietly strengthened. The unseen has been setting the stage for your emergence. And now the unfolding begins. So release the idea that you were ever late. Nothing is lost, nothing was wasted. The delay was divine, and you are now stepping into the very moment it was designed to prepare you for. What once felt like waiting has turned into arrival. What once felt like silence has become a song of victory. The preparation is complete, and your greater unfolding is now in motion. You are now standing in the vibration of answered prayer. Nothing is against you anymore. The energy around you has shifted, and whether you can see it or not, everything is working in divine harmony. The struggle that once consumed your thoughts is dissolving because your inner state has changed. You are no longer begging the universe to move. You are resting in the knowing that it already has. The prayer you once whispered in desperation has now become your living reality, because you finally became one with the feeling of its fulfillment. When you prayed, the answer was given instantly, but it could not reach you until you rose into the vibration of belief. The universe never withholds. It responds to frequency. The moment you stopped asking from lack and began thanking from completion, the energy around you began to shift. You stopped speaking from waiting and started living from receiving. That's when the invisible doors opened. That's when resistance broke. You are now standing where everything flows to you with ease, because nothing within you is pushing it away. You are no longer fighting what is or fearing what may come. You have entered a state of inner harmony where your desires and your faith walk hand in hand. You are not chasing, you are allowing. You are not hoping, you are knowing. And that knowing radiates a frequency that draws every good thing toward you effortlessly. Nothing is against you anymore because you no longer believe in opposition. You have learned that the world mirrors your state of being. When you felt small, life reflected obstacles. When you felt unworthy, life echoed that belief. But now that you stand in your power, life must bend to the energy of your certainty. You are no longer at war with your circumstances, for you understand that they are simply responding to you. The outer world cannot oppose the one who stands firm in faith. You have entered the vibration of answered prayer, the feeling that it is already done. And in that feeling, there is peace. You don't need to control, you don't need to prove, you don't even need to understand. You simply need to remain aligned with gratitude, joy, and quiet confidence. From this state, life unfolds in divine order. The right people show up. The perfect timing reveals itself. What once seemed impossible becomes effortless. So release any lingering fear. Let go of every doubt that tries to whisper otherwise. The universe has already said yes to you. You are not waiting for the blessing. You are the blessing unfolding. Every cell of your being vibrates with fulfillment, and that vibration is calling everything you desire into form. Walk forward, knowing that nothing is against you anymore. Not the past, not circumstances, not time. You are one with divine favor now, standing in the living answer of every prayer you've ever spoken. Your state of being is the magnet that draws all favorable conditions. Life does not respond to what you say you want, it responds to what you are. The universe listens not to words, but to vibration, to the quiet hum of your inner world. Every thought, every emotion, every belief you carry sends out an energetic signal that shapes your experience. The world is not happening to you, it is echoing you. What you radiate within becomes the magnet that attracts everything you see without. When your state of being is rooted in peace, life reflects harmony. When it's filled with gratitude, doors open easily. But when it's clouded with fear, lack, or doubt, the reflection must match that too. This is why transformation begins inwardly, not externally. You cannot fight circumstances and win, but you can shift your inner frequency and watch circumstances align themselves. The universe is not withholding your desires. It's simply waiting for you to become a match to them. Think of your state as an atmosphere. When you walk in the energy of faith, assurance, and joy, you create an atmosphere where miracles feel at home. Favor flows naturally because there is no inner resistance. The things you desire are drawn to you not because you chase them, but because you embody the feeling of already having them. You don't need to force outcomes. Your being itself is the magnet. The mistake most people make is trying to change the world while staying the same within. They beg for abundance while vibrating scarcity. They speak of love but dwell in loneliness. They chase success while holding beliefs of unworthiness. But the universe cannot be deceived. It mirrors precisely what you believe to be true about yourself. The moment you change your inner self-concept, the moment you feel abundant, loved, successful, and blessed, everything around you reorganizes to reflect that truth. This is why peace is powerful. When you rest in the knowing that life is for you, not against you, you stop emitting the vibration of fear. You start radiating confidence, and confidence attracts solutions. You start feeling deserving, and deserving energy attracts opportunity. You start loving life, and life begins loving you back. So pay attention, not to appearances, but to how you feel. Your feelings are the compass of creation. When you lift your inner state through gratitude, visualization, and faith, you lift your entire life. Conditions that once resisted you begin to move. People shift, doors open, timing synchronizes. Nothing changes because you forced it. It changes because your vibration called it into harmony. You are magnetic. You are not separate from the good you seek. You are its source. When your inner world glows with certainty, joy, and peace, Life has no choice but to mirror it. Everything you desire, love, abundance, success, opportunity, is already orbiting you, waiting for one thing. The moment your state of being rises to meet it, life rearranges itself to match the conviction of your inner certainty. The moment you decide something within you, truly decide it, the outer world begins to bend in that direction. Circumstances that once seemed immovable begin to shift. People show up, timing aligns, opportunities appear out of nowhere. This is not luck, it is law. Life cannot resist the force of unwavering conviction. When you stand in the knowing that your desire is already yours, the universe has no choice but to mirror that knowing back to you. Everything in your experience is a reflection of what you believe to be true. The world is a mirror, not a maker. It doesn't create your destiny, it reflects the story you hold in consciousness. When you waver, it wavers. When you doubt, it delays. But when you stand firm in faith, life rushes to confirm it. Your conviction becomes the blueprint from which reality takes form. That is why nothing external needs to change first. You do. The moment you shift inwardly, reality begins to catch up. True certainty is not arrogance or stubbornness. It is calm assurance. It is the quiet, unshakable knowing that what you have imagined is already unfolding. It does not look for signs because it is the sign. It does not seek validation because it is validated from within. This kind of faith doesn't chase, it attracts. It doesn't beg, it commands. The person who is certain does not ask if the promise will come. They live as though it already has. And life, ever faithful, responds in kind. It begins to move in subtle yet undeniable ways. You find yourself in the right place at the right time. What once felt difficult becomes effortless. The people, ideas, and moments that once seemed far away are drawn into your orbit. You are no longer striving for alignment because you have become alignment itself. Life must rearrange to reflect your conviction. It cannot do otherwise. This is why inner certainty is more powerful than any outer effort. The person who believes they must struggle, strive, or beg will continue to meet resistance. But the one who stands still in faith commands a reality of ease. Conviction is creative power. It speaks silently but with authority, declaring to the universe, "It is done." And creation responds instantly, setting in motion the chain of events necessary to bring it into form. So stop trying to force outcomes. Instead, cultivate inner certainty. Let your thoughts, emotions, and actions flow from the state of already having received. Feel the fulfillment now. Walk as though your dream has already manifested, and life will begin to shape itself around that truth. The universe mirrors conviction. It rearranges itself not for the hesitant, but for the decided. Once you decide within that it's already yours, the unseen begins to orchestrate every detail. The invisible becomes visible. The impossible becomes natural. Life, as it always does, obeys the certainty of your inner belief. This is not the end of the old. It's the visible beginning of your new destiny. What feels like an ending is not destruction. It is transformation. The familiar is fading because something greater is taking form. The doors that closed were not rejections. They were signals that your time in that chapter has fulfilled its purpose. You have outgrown what once sustained the old season, no longer matches who you have become. Life is not breaking apart, it's breaking open. Every ending carries within it the seed of a beginning. The collapse you see is only the clearing required for the new to emerge. You cannot hold the next chapter while clinging to the last one. So the universe, in its infinite wisdom, gently removes what cannot walk with you into the new level of your becoming. It looks like loss, but it is liberation. It feels like chaos, but it is creation. Something sacred is unfolding beneath what your eyes can see. Your destiny is not behind you, it is being born through you. The things that once felt stable may be shifting because you are being realigned with your higher path. The very things that once gave you comfort are now being stripped away so that you may lean entirely into faith, into trust that what is coming is far greater than what is leaving. The dismantling is evidence of divine movement. You are stepping into a version of yourself that cannot be contained by the limitations of the past. The old self was necessary for a time. It taught you, prepared you, and shaped your strength. But now the vibration of your life has elevated. The dreams that once felt distant are now within reach because you are no longer the same person who first imagined them. You have grown in awareness, in wisdom, and in inner power. The old chapter could not hold the magnitude of who you are becoming. That is why it had to end. Not to break you, but to free you. This is the visible beginning of your new destiny. The signs are already here if you look closely. A shift in energy, a sense of readiness, a quiet confidence that something magnificent is unfolding. You are not standing in loss, you are standing in emergence. The path ahead may still seem uncertain, but that uncertainty is sacred. It means you are walking by faith now, not by sight. So release the urge to mourn what has passed, bless it, thank it, and let it go with love. It served its divine purpose. Stand tall in this moment of rebirth, knowing that the universe never takes without giving more in return. The old has fulfilled its function, and the new is rising in its place. This is your time of renewal, expansion, and ascension. You are not at the end. You are standing at the threshold of your divine beginning, where destiny finally reveals itself in form. And now, as we stand in this sacred moment of realization, understand this: the shift has already begun. The universe is not waiting for your permission, it is responding to your faith. Everything that once seemed delayed was divine preparation. Every silence was filled with purpose. Every step, even the painful ones, was guiding you here, to the threshold of your new destiny. You are no longer the seeker, you are the receiver. The unseen world has heard your every word, felt your every intention, and it has conspired in your favor. Life is aligning itself perfectly to match the conviction of your belief. You are now standing in the vibration of answered prayer, and nothing is against you anymore. The world around you is simply reflecting the power that has awakened within you. So walk forward with peace in your heart and certainty in your mind. Trust that what is yours cannot be taken, delayed, or denied. This is your time. This is your season. The old has fallen away, and the new has already begun to rise. From this point on, expect the miraculous. Expect favor. Expect everything to work in your favor, because it already is. Your only task now is to remain in gratitude, to give thanks not because you are waiting to receive, but because you already have. The evidence may still be forming, but the truth is established. The unseen has spoken. The shift is complete. Thank you for listening. Stay in faith, stay in peace, and remember, everything is working in your favor now.
As soon as you start understanding that money is not merely a physical object or a transactional tool, but a reflection of your inner state of being, you begin to awaken to the deeper truth that everything in your external world mirrors the relationship you have with yourself. You are not chasing banknotes or numbers, but your own sense of worthiness, security, and alignment. Money flows or withholds itself in accordance with your subconscious feelings of deservingness, which are shaped by how deeply you love and approve of yourself. When you hold contradictory beliefs, such as desiring wealth while secretly believing you are unworthy of abundance, money responds not to your conscious desire, but to the vibrational tone of your dominant inner state. You may tell yourself you want financial freedom, but if underneath you harbor guilt, shame, or resentment towards yourself, money will reflect that confusion by remaining inconsistent or absent. You cannot receive fully what you are not prepared to embrace from within. The energy of money, like all energy, is drawn to harmony, clarity, and love. When you begin to detach from the belief that your value is measured by what you have or do not have, you step into the freedom of becoming a conscious creator rather than a desperate seeker. Money begins to appear more frequently when you dissolve the illusion that it is external to your being. You stop measuring your worth through your bank account and start realizing that your internal sense of peace, confidence, and love for yourself is the true currency. As you practice assuming the feeling of already being abundant, already being worthy, already being supported by life, money begins to take notice, not because it judges, but because energy always aligns with its own likeness. You no longer fear lack because you understand lack is not a punishment, but a mirror showing you where you've forgotten your power. When you return to the feeling of certainty within, money returns to you naturally because it no longer needs to teach you through absence. You might think money is teaching you about wealth, but in truth, money is teaching you about love. The love you hold, the love you withhold, and the love you have yet to remember belongs to you unconditionally. You become magnetic to the flow of money, not when you chase it or manipulate your circumstances, but when you fall in love with your own being, when you soften into the knowing that your worth is not up for negotiation. Money comes to you as a response to your inner dialogue. And when your dialogue is loving, confident, and self-affirming, money has no resistance. You don't need to do more but to remember more. Remember who you are. Remember your value is not earned but realized. Remember that you were born with the right to thrive. The energy of money responds to the frequency of wholeness, and the more whole you feel within, the more it circulates around you with ease. When you assume that you are already supported, you send a message into the energetic field that you are safe, capable, and ready. You no longer beg or plead or wait for external proof. You move with the feeling of being held by the unseen currents of life. Money doesn't rescue you. It reflects your own rescue of self from limitation and self-abandonment. When you love yourself enough to believe you are already chosen, already worthy, already aligned, you unlock a level of ease that transcends hustle and effort. You begin to feel relaxed in your body, expansive in your mind, and generous in your spirit, because you trust that life reflects your belief, not your doubt, not your fear, but your unwavering assumption of fulfillment. The more love you feel for yourself, the more money becomes a cooperative energy, eager to match your new internal rhythm. You may have believed that suffering was noble, that self-sacrifice was virtuous, that guilt was necessary, but these are the very frequencies that keep you in a state of emotional debt. You cannot attract wealth while believing you must earn your right to receive. When you break free from the belief that you need to prove yourself to be valuable, money can finally begin to reach you through paths you had long forgotten were possible. You stop resisting the flow and begin allowing, not from passivity, but from empowered surrender. Self-love is not a luxury. It is the foundation of all attraction. When you approve of your desires, instead of doubting them, you align with the version of yourself who already has what they seek. And when you do this consistently, money responds not to effort, but to identity. The moment you shift from trying to get money to realizing you are the vibration of wealth itself, the universe reorganizes in your favor. You stop asking for permission to receive and instead assume the posture of one who is already held by infinite supply. You become less attached to outcomes because you know that all outcomes originate from your inner certainty. You release desperation, which is rooted in self-doubt, and you embody confidence, which is rooted in self-love. This change is not always loud, but it is always magnetic. Your external reality becomes softer, more cooperative, more harmonious, because you have returned to internal harmony. You no longer make money your source, but your mirror. And mirrors never lie. They reflect what you believe to be true about yourself. You stop using money to fix your emotional wounds and start using love to dissolve the belief that you were ever broken. When you assume the feeling of already being fulfilled, you stop needing money to fill the void. And ironically, money flows more freely because it is no longer burdened with the task of proving your value. You love yourself enough to know that you are already whole, and from that wholeness, money becomes a joyful companion, not a savior. You move differently, speak differently, and show up to life with a quiet confidence that whispers to the universe, "I remember who I am." And the universe responds, not because it grants you a wish, but because it reflects your inner knowing, without resistance or delay. Each time you choose to believe in your sufficiency, money aligns with that belief because it is a neutral responder to your energetic stance. If you believe you must struggle to receive, money reflects that. If you believe you are unworthy, money withholds only to remind you to return to love. But if you believe you are already supported, already safe, already deserving, money flows as an extension of that belief. It does not question you, it becomes you. You are not separate from the stream of abundance. You are it. And when you stop resisting your own light, the stream becomes visible in your life, not as luck, but as evidence of a shifted identity. Money is not teaching you how to become more valuable. It is showing you where you've forgotten that you already are. It challenges your self-perception, not to punish, but to elevate. When you finally love yourself enough to no longer abandon your own needs, your own vision, your own joy, money responds as a faithful echo. You stop waiting for signs and become the sign. You stop seeking validation and become the source of it. And from this place you find yourself not only attracting money, but holding it with grace, circulating it with love, and multiplying it with ease. Because now you are aligned, not just with money, but with your truest self. You can no longer be manipulated by fear when you remember that you are not chasing abundance. You are returning to it. The illusion of lack was never real. It was only the absence of self-recognition. When you love yourself, you recognize that what you desire is simply an extension of your own being. Money is not a prize at the end of the journey. It is a companion on the path of remembering. When you walk in the energy of already being enough, already being chosen, already being rich in spirit, money doesn't have to fix anything. It simply reflects everything. You see that love and money are the same frequency: receptivity, openness, alignment. And when you are open to love, you are open to wealth, because they are one. Every time you catch yourself believing that money is the cause of your happiness or the answer to your struggles, you remind yourself that it is merely a symbol of the inner harmony or discord you carry. You release the illusion of separation and come home to the truth that you are the creator, not the victim of your financial reality. And with this realization, you step into the power to change it, not by force, but by love. You begin to treat yourself with the reverence, care, and respect you once reserved for external circumstances, and money responds in kind. It does not hesitate when you are clear. It does not delay when you are aligned. It simply shows up as you show up to yourself. As you live from the feeling of already having, already being, already knowing, your relationship with money transforms from one of dependence to one of collaboration. You are no longer begging the world to see your worth. You are standing in it. Money follows the feeling of certainty, and certainty is the natural outcome of love. When you love yourself, you no longer fear the unknown. because you know who you are in the midst of it. You walk with calm expectancy, not because life owes you anything, but because you know that life cannot deny what you already claim as true within. You don't chase, you attract. And your attraction is rooted not in strategy, but in identity. When you begin to embody the version of yourself who no longer negotiates their worth based on temporary conditions, you become the anchor for lasting abundance. You do not need to convince money to stay because you are no longer vibrating from the fear of loss or rejection. You recognize that love, not control, is the gateway through which wealth enters and remains. And when you treat yourself with kindness, with inner reverence, with the dignity of someone who truly belongs, money becomes an extension of that belonging. It shows up not to prove anything, but to reflect what is already settled within you. This is not about pretending, but about persisting in a state of inner knowing, even when the outer hasn't caught up. Because you know now that the outer always bows to the inner. You are not asking the world to bring you proof. You are being the proof, living from the felt sense of completion. The more deeply you commit to the belief that you are inherently supported, the more you will see life rearranged to support you. This commitment is not made in the mind alone. It is felt in your body, in your emotions, in the spaces where you used to carry tension and now carry peace. Money doesn't come to the version of you who is waiting to feel safe. It comes to the version of you who feels safe now, not because of the digits in your account, but because of the love in your heart. When you stop seeking money as the permission slip to love yourself and start loving yourself as the origin point of wealth, you no longer hold your power hostage to external results. You become steady in your vibration, no longer reactive to delays because you understand the truth. Nothing is being withheld. What appears as delay is only the time it takes for your new state to stabilize and materialize. You trust the process because you trust yourself. You start to see how every past struggle with money was really a lesson in self-worth disguised as financial limitation. Each no you experienced was asking you to say yes to yourself more fully. Each time you feared running out, the invitation was to remember the infinite supply within you. And now you see that you were never blocked. You were becoming conscious. The blocks were beliefs, and you hold the power to dissolve them by loving the parts of you that once felt unworthy of release. You don't need to fix or force or figure everything out. You need only return to the truth that you are whole right now. And in that wholeness, you allow the natural flow of abundance to resume. There is no effort in being who you already are, only willingness to remember it. The more you rest in your true identity, the more money flows without resistance, because it is no longer being asked to solve your identity crisis. You are no longer dependent on outcomes to feel good. And in this detachment, paradoxically, outcomes shift in your favor. You stop performing and start aligning. You stop proving and start allowing. And in this space of relaxed power, you become undeniably magnetic. Not because you're doing more, but because you're being more of who you truly are. Money flows, not because you chase it, but because you've stopped running from yourself. And in the end, you realize that loving yourself was never separate from receiving. It was always the foundation of it. And that's it for the day. Thank you for watching. Please feel free to share your thoughts and insights in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done it already. Have an amazing day, and I'll see you in the next video.
Everything you behold in your outer world is but the echo of your inner vibration. Your frequency creates everything. It is not chance, not fate, not blind circumstance that arranges your life. It is the silent song you are continually singing within. Your thoughts, fused with feeling, generate the frequency upon which the universe builds the stage of your reality. To change your life, you must change your inner music. If you are rehearsing fear, worry, and lack, life will faithfully mirror those tones. If you live in the frequency of abundance, gratitude, and fulfilled desire, life cannot help but reflect the harmony of that state. For the law is exact, like attracts like. Frequency calls unto frequency. Imagination is not idle daydreaming. It is the instrument by which you tune your vibration. To imagine with conviction is to step into the frequency of already being, already having, already living. And once you inhabit that vibration, the world must rearrange itself to correspond. This is why your inner state is not a mere pastime. It is creation itself. Consider this. When you assume the feeling of love, even before love arrives in form, the world begins to respond to you with kindness, warmth, and attraction. When you persist in the state of wealth, even before the evidence appears, opportunities, ideas, and channels begin to flow. The outer does not cause the inner gives birth to the outer. Do not measure your faith by today's appearances, for appearances are only shadows of yesterday's vibration. Instead, sustain your frequency with patience and certainty, knowing that persistence is the secret ingredient. A seed does not sprout overnight, yet it cannot be denied. So it is with your inner assumption. The harvest is inevitable. Your life is your canvas, and your frequency is the brush. Paint not with complaint, but with conviction. Do not beg life to change. Command it by dwelling in the vibration of already being. Whatever you dare to inwardly claim, if persisted in, will one day walk across the stage of your experience. So I say to you, guard your frequency as the sacred power it is. Choose it deliberately. Live as though your desire is already accomplished. And watch how the unseen harmonies you hold within compose the symphony of your world. Consciousness is the fertile ground from which all things grow, the invisible root of every visible experience in life. What you encounter outwardly is never random. It is always the outpicturing of what has been cultivated within. The mind, when occupied with a state, produces experiences that echo that state. Every event, every meeting, every condition you call life begins not in the external world, but in the silent corridors of your own awareness. To understand this is to recognize that you are not a victim of circumstance, but the very author of it. When you live in fear, anxiety, or doubt, you inhabit a state of mind that naturally attracts experiences aligned with those vibrations. It is not punishment, it is law. Life reflects back to you the inner atmosphere you sustain. Just as the seed once planted grows according to its kind, your consciousness unfolds into the likeness of the thoughts and feelings you nurture most often. If you plant seeds of despair, you cannot expect a harvest of joy. If you plant seeds of confidence, peace, and love, the soil of consciousness cannot help but yield a life abundant in these qualities. The unseen always precedes the seen. You do not first see change in your environment before you shift within. Instead, you shift within and the environment bends to reflect that shift. To try to alter circumstances while ignoring your inner state is to attempt to change the fruit without addressing the root. You may prune a branch here and there, but until the seed changes, the tree remains the same in essence. Consciousness is the seed, and no effort in the external world can override what you carry in the invisible world of self. Think of how imagination works. When you imagine with feeling, you are sowing seeds into the soil of your consciousness. If you persist in that vision, holding it as real in your inner world, it begins to solidify into experience. This is why daydreams infused with emotion are so powerful. They are not idle fancies, but formative acts of creation. Every mental picture held with conviction is a seed taking root. And once it is rooted, life must yield its fruit in due season. This principle explains why two people may walk through the same circumstances and yet experience entirely different realities. One perceives opportunity, the other sees only lack. One lives in hope, the other in despair. It is not the world that differs, but the seed each one carries. For reality is filtered and shaped by the consciousness inhabiting it. Change the seed, and the harvest must follow. The greatest mistake is to believe that the outer world is the cause and your inner state the effect. It is the reverse. The unseen inner world is primary, and the outer world is its shadow. Shadows cannot cast themselves, they follow the object. Likewise, circumstances cannot create themselves, they follow the seed of consciousness within you. To grasp this truth is to hold the key to transformation. For when you deliberately choose the seeds you plant, when you consciously inhabit the state of being you desire, you take command of creation itself. Imagination is not a mere pastime of the mind, nor a fleeting escape from reality. It is the workshop of creation, the hidden architect of your life. Every image you hold with feeling, every scene you replay with conviction, becomes the blueprint from which your reality is constructed. What you dwell upon inwardly, especially when charged with emotion, takes root in the unseen and crystallizes outwardly into form. The outer world is not the cause but the consequence. Imagination is the origin of all that you encounter. When you imagine, you are not simply entertaining thoughts, you are planting seeds. The mind, when infused with belief, impresses upon the deeper layers of consciousness the pattern of the idea. That pattern becomes the frequency you radiate, and by the law of correspondence, life responds. Imagine poverty and you find lack knocking at your door. Imagine abundance and doors open where before there were walls. The world is pliable, but it bends not to wishful thinking. It bends to sustained, imaginative conviction. The secret lies not in idle fantasy, but in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. To imagine yourself wealthy while secretly holding the vibration of lack is to cancel the creative act. But to imagine wealth and live inwardly as though it were already true, feeling the relief, the freedom, the joy, sets into motion the unseen forces that reshape your outer circumstances. Life must mirror the inner state, for it has no choice. You cannot occupy a vibration inwardly without summoning its likeness outwardly. Consider how this operates in the small details of daily life. A person who constantly imagines rejection will often walk into situations already radiating the expectation of being unwanted, and others unconsciously respond to that frequency. Another person who imagines being loved and valued moves with an air of confidence that naturally draws affection. Nothing has changed on the outside except the imaginal act. Yet that invisible change alters the entire script of life. Imagination is not bound by the limitations of the present moment. It sees beyond appearances and pulls the unseen into possibility. A man in prison can imagine freedom until the walls lose their power over him. A woman in sickness can imagine vitality until health begins to rise within her. These inner acts are not delusions, they are rehearsals of creation. When persisted in, they become reality. The outer world must eventually align with the inner world, for imagination is the womb of all experience. The greatest power lies in persistence. A single moment of imagining may stir hope, but sustained imagination engraves reality. It is like carving into stone with each repetition, deepening the impression until the world itself conforms. Every invention, every work of art, every movement of progress began first as an image in the mind. The airplane was once a dream, the light bulb a picture in thought, the great structures of civilization sketches in imagination, long before they stood in stone and steel. So it is with your life. The question is not whether imagination works, it is whether you will dare to use it consciously. For whether you believe it or not, you are imagining now. Your future is already being shaped by the images you dwell upon today. If you are to create deliberately, you must learn to guide your imagination, to dwell not on fear, but on faith, not on what is lacking, but on what is already fulfilled within. Hold the vision, feel it real, persist in it, and you will watch the invisible crystallize into the visible, proving that imagination shapes reality. Assumption is more than mere thought. It is the state you clothe yourself in, the frequency you inhabit as though it were already real. Words without embodiment are hollow. You may say, I am prosperous, but if inwardly you continue to feel lack, then lack is the assumption you truly live in. The vibration that creates does not respond to lip service. It responds to the deep felt conviction of already being what you assume yourself to be. With feeling becomes the lens through which you experience the world. And in time, that assumption hardens into fact. Living in assumption means carrying yourself inwardly as though your desire were already accomplished. It is not hoping or waiting for the future. It is claiming the end now. To assume love is not to beg for it or wonder when it will arrive. It is to feel the warmth, the belonging, the joy of already being loved. To assume success is not to anxiously look for opportunities. It is to walk in the dignity and confidence of one who already is successful. The outer world, by law, eventually bends to reflect the inner state that you consistently sustain. The power of assumption is that it bypasses effort and enters directly into being. Many exhaust themselves trying to manipulate circumstances, forcing results through action alone. But assumption operates differently. It shifts the frequency first. Once the inner state is held, circumstances align naturally, often with surprising ease. A man who assumes health begins to act, eat, and move as though he were already well, and his body gradually conforms. A woman who assumes wealth carries herself with abundance, makes decisions from security, and attracts opportunities that mirror her inner vibration. It is important to note that assumption is not pretending. Pretending keeps the desire at a distance, acknowledging that it is not yet real. Assumption, on the other hand, collapses the gap. It is the inner knowing that what you seek is already yours. This is why feeling is essential. Without feeling, assumption is an empty declaration. With feeling, assumption is a frequency that reverberates through your entire being. The danger lies in unconsciously assuming states you do not want. Many live in the assumption of failure, rejection, or unworthiness. They do not declare it aloud, yet they carry themselves inwardly as though it were true. And because the vibration is sustained, life faithfully reflects it back. The law is impartial. It does not distinguish between assumptions you choose deliberately or those you allow by default. It simply echoes the frequency you hold. To master assumption, you must practice dwelling in the end. Each time doubt arises, return to the feeling of already having. Each time fear speaks, silence it with the inner conviction of fulfillment. Persist in this state and it becomes natural, automatic, effortless. The outer world cannot resist the vibration you consistently inhabit. It must give form to the assumption you live by. So the question becomes, what frequency are you assuming right now? Not what do you wish for, not what do you hope may come, but what are you living inwardly as true? For that is the frequency that is shaping your tomorrows. Life is a mirror, faithfully reflecting the tone of your inner dialogue and the quality of your emotional state. The world you see around you is not separate from the world you hold within. Your conversations with yourself, the words you whisper in silence, the images you replay in your mind, the emotions you continually nurture, become the vibration that life echoes back to you. To experience outer harmony, you must first cultivate inner harmony, for the outer cannot sing a different song than the one already playing within. When the inner dialogue is filled with criticism, self-doubt, or fear, the world responds accordingly. People treat you as you unconsciously expect them to, situations arise that mirror your unrest, and life seems to confirm your deepest insecurities. It is not that the world conspires against you, rather it simply reflects the assumptions and feelings you carry within. If you are always inwardly arguing, condemning, or worrying, you cannot expect peace in the outer circumstances. The mirror can only reflect the face presented to it. On the other hand, when your inner tone is one of kindness, gratitude, and confidence, life responds with grace. People show up in ways that affirm your worth, doors open, and the atmosphere of your days becomes lighter. This is not coincidence, it is alignment. The frequency of your inner state sets the rhythm to which the outer world must dance. Just as a calm lake reflects the sky clearly, so too does a calm mind reflect harmony in the events of life. Inner harmony is not about ignoring challenges, but about choosing the state from which you meet them. Two people can face the same difficulty. One collapses under the weight of fear, while the other responds with resilience and peace. The difference lies in their inner dialogue. One tells himself he cannot. The other assures himself that all things are possible. And life reflects each back according to their inner script. The world bends not to what you say aloud, but to what you continually say in silence. Your emotional state is the atmosphere in which your life unfolds. If you live in constant agitation, everything feels sharp and hostile. If you live in inner rest, even difficulties carry a hidden blessing. The outer world, with all its people and events, is the great stage upon which your inner harmony or disharmony plays out. Change the tone within, and the performance of life rearranges itself without force. This is why true transformation is an inward act. To demand peace from the outer world while neglecting the war within is futile. But to bring peace to your inner dialogue, to saturate it with affirmations of love, gratitude, and wholeness, is to invite peace into every corner of your reality. When the heart is still, life becomes still. When the mind is serene, guard your inner speech as carefully as you guard your actions. Choose thoughts that soothe rather than wound. Cultivate emotions that uplift rather than drain. Persist in harmony within, and you will see harmony multiplied without. For life is a mirror, and it cannot help but reflect what you are within. Persistence is the bridge between desire and fulfillment. To merely wish for a thing is to touch it lightly and then let it slip away. But to persist in the inner state of already having is to anchor yourself in the vibration that must eventually harden into fact. Frequency is not established by a momentary thought or a fleeting feeling. It is built through repeated steadfast occupation of the desired state until it becomes natural to you. What you return to again and again is what shapes your reality. Many give up too quickly. They imagine once, they feel once, and then, when evidence does not appear immediately, they declare the process does not work. Yet they misunderstand the nature of creation. A seed does not sprout the instant it is planted. It requires time in the soil, nourished by care and belief, until it breaks through and becomes visible. So it is with inner states. The moment you assume the feeling of already being what you desire, the seed is, but persistence is a nourishment that ensures the seed matures. Without it, the sprout withers before it has the chance to bloom. Persistence does not mean strain. It means returning again and again to the state of fulfillment, regardless of appearances. Appearances are deceptive because they are only the shadow of past vibrations. If you look only at today's circumstances, you may grow discouraged. But the wise understand that the outer world lags behind the inner. Persist in the inner state long enough, and the outer will inevitably conform. The law cannot be broken. The challenge lies in sustaining the vibration when the senses scream the opposite. To persist in abundance while bills pile high. To persist in love while loneliness surrounds you. To persist in health while pain still lingers. This is the true act of faith. It is not blind faith, but creative faith. The knowing that the unseen is more powerful than the seen. The unseen, once persisted in, becomes the seen. Over time, persistence transforms assumption into identity. At first, imagining yourself wealthy or loved may feel strange, like a garment that does not yet fit. But the more you persist, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, the state feels so natural that you no longer struggle to maintain it. It has become who you are. And when the state is natural, the outer world has no choice but to reflect it. Persistence also shields you from doubt. Doubt may visit, appearances may challenge, but if you are steadfast, these distractions lose their power. You become anchored in the unseen reality, unshaken by the passing storms of circumstance. The wind may howl, but you remain rooted in the state you have chosen, and in time the storm clears to reveal the harvest of your persistence. So I tell you, do not be discouraged by delay, and do not measure your progress by the surface of life. Keep returning day after day to the inner occupation of your fulfilled desire. Live in it, breathe in it, speak from it until it is second nature. Persistence is the secret ingredient that transforms invisible frequency into undeniable fact. For what you persist in inwardly, you will one day stand amidst outwardly. Creation is not uncertain, nor is it selective. It is inevitable. The universe operates by law, not by chance, and that law declares that whatever you consistently radiate within must externalize. Frequency never returns void. Just as sound waves find resonance, so too do the vibrations of your inner state call forth their likeness in the outer world. To believe otherwise is to misunderstand the nature of life. Every persistent feeling, every assumption, lived in repeatedly, must find its counterpart in form. You are always radiating something, even in silence, even in stillness, your inner state is speaking loudly to the universe. If that state is one of fear, life arranges itself to give you experiences that justify your fear. If that state is one of joy, opportunities appear that match your joy. The law does not fail. It cannot fail. Just as the ground must yield the seed that is planted within it, so must life yield the fruit of the consciousness you continually occupy. This inevitability is both a warning and a promise. It is a warning because it means you cannot indulge in destructive inner states without eventually seeing them reflected outwardly. You cannot habitually dwell in bitterness, envy, or despair and expect a life filled with peace and harmony. The harvest will always match the seed. But it is also a promise, an unshakable guarantee that when you persist in noble, uplifting, and fulfilling inner states, life will bow to reflect them. No force, no circumstance, no obstacle can prevent the inevitable flowering of a seed faithfully planted and nurtured. Some grow impatient, looking for instant results, forgetting that inevitability does not mean immediacy. A seed does not bloom the same day it is sown, yet its blooming is certain. So it is with the states you inhabit. Persist long enough in the vibration of already being, and the externalization becomes unavoidable. The world around you must rearrange itself to mirror what you have chosen within. This is not hope. It is law. The beauty of this principle is that it removes all struggle. You do not have to fight against the world, manipulate people, or force circumstances to bend. You need only to persist inwardly in the frequency of what you desire, knowing that creation is already underway. The unseen is as real, indeed more real than the seen. For the seen is only the outgrowth of the unseen, and the unseen, once felt consistently, must break through the soil of time and space to stand visible before your eyes. This inevitability also means that your future is not something you wait for passively, but something you are shaping in every moment. The thoughts you dwell upon today, the emotions you nurture now, are the seeds of tomorrow's experience. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is ignored. Every vibration you sustain leaves its imprint upon creation, and in due season you meet it as fact. Therefore, let your inner radiance be chosen deliberately. Do not scatter seeds of fear and wonder why thorns appear. Plant only what you wish to harvest, and trust the law to bring it forth. For creation is inevitable. Your frequency is the architect, and life is the obedient builder. What you consistently hold within, you will inevitably behold without. Every truth we have explored returns to one central revelation. Life is not happening to you, it is happening through you. Consciousness is the seed, imagination is the blueprint, assumption is the frequency. Inner harmony is the reflection, persistence is the nourishment, and creation is the inevitable harvest. Nothing in your outer world exists apart from the vibration you sustain within. The world is your mirror, faithfully reflecting the states you inhabit most deeply. The great invitation is to live deliberately, to stop drifting in unconscious states of fear and doubt, and to awaken to the truth that you are the author of your experience. If you wish for love, then embody the frequency of love. If you long for abundance, then occupy the state of already having. If you seek peace, then dwell in inner stillness until peace overflows. Life cannot resist you, for it must mirror back the frequency you radiate. Remember, fleeting wishes and occasional hopes carry little power. It is your steadfast inner occupation, your persistence in feeling the wish fulfilled, that transforms imagination into reality. You need not struggle, you need not force. You need only to choose your state and remain faithful to it. The unseen will crystallize into the seen, and what you dare to hold within will one day surround you without. So let this not be mere words, but a call to action. Begin now. Choose deliberately the seed you plant, the state you assume, the inner harmony you sustain. Persist until it becomes natural, for creation is inevitable, and your frequency is its command. In turtle, I forgive you, so let this night draw. Thank you.